Welcome to the Sis You Are Worthy podcast, the only podcast for ambitious, professional women of color, women who are tired of playing small and ready to take their rightful seat at the table. If you're ready to learn how to take back your power, be confident, decide what you want, and go get it, then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Anita Miller, confidence and career coach for women of color. Let's get started. Hey sis, how are you? I'm good. May is one of my favorite months in the entire year. So many of the people that I love have birthdays this month, so it's always a fun and eventful month for me. Happy birthday to all of my Taurus and Gemini sisters out there. Today we are going to be discussing 5 ways you are micromanaging and how it's impacting your confidence and your career. I don't know about you, but when I hear the term micromanager, I immediately think, oh, she's not talking about me. This episode doesn't have anything to do with me. And actually, I get a visual, like in my mind, of a female white boss. I'm not sure why that's what I visualize, considering I haven't had that experience personally, but that's what pops in my head. Nonetheless, when we think about what constitutes micromanaging, we, Black women in this case, tend to think about the boss that is, 1, too involved in our work. You know, the ones that's all up in our business. 2, they continuously check in to see where you are with the work, what you're working on, etc. Maybe they're the boss that when you submit your work, they always try to find something wrong and they focus on unimportant details. Or the micromanager who becomes irritable because you made a decision without their input. And finally, the 5th way we tend to think about micromanaging is that boss who wants to be CC'd on every email or feel like they have to have every conversation because, I don't know, I guess their perspective is you're not capable or you need to be controlled, what have you. Now, you may be saying, yes, sis, that's the ish that gets on my nerve, and that's why I don't do it. I told you I wasn't a micromanager. They always be the ones that's looking over your shoulders, and you know, that's not what we do, right? I know, sis, and I get it. But as we go through this episode, I want you to be open to the possibility that you may be micromanaging. And I want you to release any judgment you have around it or preconceived notion you may have about what micromanaging is and what it looks like. Consider this an opportunity for newfound awareness, if you will, and the opportunity for growth. While the 5 ways I just mentioned are generalized characteristics of micromanaging that are not typically how we as ambitious Black women show up, that doesn't mean that we don't micromanage as well. It just manifests itself differently. Let me explain. Starting with, what is a micromanager? A micromanager, by definition, is a person who likes to control every part of a process or activity. Now, in this circle of trust that we have here, if you're honest with yourself and I'm honest with myself, then it certainly might be that we like to control some shit. And there's very good psychological reasons for why that might be. Certainly, given the challenges that we face in this society, which includes lack of resources, trauma, endless sacrifice, and some generational beliefs that impact your ability to move freely, it makes sense that you have associated your need to control-ish to it being a means to ensure your safety and security. In reality, it's just an illusion, though. The genesis for micromanaging is always based in scarcity, lack, and fear. For Black women, micromanaging shows up more like 1. The resistance to delegate work because you believe that in order for things to be done right, you have to do it yourself. 2. Looking at every detail rather than focusing on the big picture. 3. You take on others' work or the role of project manager, even if there's one already assigned. 4. You want tasks done in unrealistic timelines and have unrealistic expectations and demands of people. 5. You tell employees or members of the team exactly how tasks should be done, and you leave no room for them to be creative, to take initiative, or learn from the opportunity. See, it manifests itself differently for us in most cases than other cultures because the root of the fear and our level of responsibility at work is different. The reason a white boss might be hovering over you and tracking every movement is more about controlling you and your input into the work. Their fear is founded in thinking that we are lazy or, on the opposite end, that we're going to outshine them. As members of what some would say the dominant culture, they have been programmed to believe that they are superior, right, to everyone else. Therefore, you not working and them allowing it is a problem for them, or you being smarter is equally a problem for them because it conflicts with a critical and core component of their identity. What is the identity of white people if they believe that we, specifically Black people, are equal and that they are not superior? Like, really, who would they be? No need to answer, because that's not our work. That's theirs. Micromanaging as a Black woman, though, isn't about controlling a person or a person's input into the work and limiting that input, but rather controlling all the people and all the work so that it can be done the way we think it should be done in order to keep us safe and secure. See, you believe that you have to be perfect, that you have to know it all. You believe that failure is a fatal flaw, and on the surface, you believe that you're better than everyone else. Since Black women have a hard time progressing in the workplace, we make our mark, if you will, by taking on project-based work or initiatives. This is where and how we attempt to control all the work and all the people so that we can stay safe and feel like our jobs are secure. The problem, though, is that the foundation is still rooted in fear. It's the fear that if I allow them to do it and it doesn't go well, then it will be a negative reflection of you. And since you're trying to prove to them that you are worthy, valuable, and belong there, these things can't happen. So based on that fear, in turn, we don't delegate. We take on the work of others and we make strong demands or judgments of people. And of course, since this fear is created from lack, it can't fuel you or produce a positive result in your career. Instead, it's draining and exhausting and frustrating. Micromanaging not only limits your career growth, it limits the growth of those around you as well. You can't take on more responsibility if you are doing all the work in this role on this team right here today. Also know that adults, including you, don't really like to be told what to do, especially in the manner that it comes across when you are in micromanager mode. Micromanaging may seem like it's serving you because you're the go-to person on the team, or maybe you've been recognized for your good work, your good efforts, your good outcomes on a project, and even your hard work. But hear me when I tell you that the way micromanaging plays out for Black women at work is that it almost always guarantees that you will get pigeonholed or stuck in that role. Right now, you're saying to yourself, but if I don't do it, then it won't get done. Or if I let it fail, they will blame me. I want you to really evaluate that thought because you are using it to justify the reason for your fear-based control. Stop fighting for what you know isn't working and be open to that there may be a new way, a different way, other ways in which you can be more successful, happier, less stress at work. You should absolutely do your job and do it well. I'm saying it's not your job to do everyone else's work. It's not your job to try to control when and how they work or when the work gets done past your level of responsibility or to make demands of people. When you join the Confident Career Collective, I teach you several more effective ways for how you can influence others, do less work, have a better workplace experience with less stress, and get the job done versus micromanaging, being stressed out, trying to control everyone and everything because it does not serve us mentally, physically, or emotionally. You may also be thinking, okay, well, if I don't stay on top of people and I don't try to do all the work, then it won't get done. Maybe they blame me, maybe they won't. But then what? My answer is lead. Leadership requires more from us than micromanaging. It requires a servant's heart, that we are confident, and on the days where you can't muster up enough confidence, you are courageous. Leadership requires transparency, vulnerability, and accountability. Leadership also requires that it is less about you and more about motivating others, growing others in order to get the work done and get it done well. True leaders build people and know how to leverage their strengths instead of complaining about their weaknesses or attempting to do it all themselves. Here's what I know for sure. You cannot operate from lack and be confident. That feeling of lack or not enoughness or self-doubt or even trying to prove you're enough may be getting the work done. And you may be excelling in the area of getting the work done. But it doesn't build on your confidence. It builds on your arrogance. When we think we know it all, when we think it has to be done our way, when we think that we are better than other people, when we think you're doing it wrong, I'm going to do it, or you're frustrated because other people don't work as hard as you, that's arrogance based on the shell that you have had to create in order to get to this level or to maintain or survive, if you will, in corporate America, in the workplace. On top of that, when we get to that place where we honestly think that we're better, that everyone else does it wrong, where we're micromanaging, we are also doing all of the work. You are not being strategic if you are doing all of the work. You're exhausted. And it's likely that you are driving people away from you, which is ultimately detrimental to the long-term growth of your career. When you operate from the mindset of a leader, you operate from love, encouragement, kindness, mentorship, and inspiration to others. You're a visionary and people want to follow you and win with you. True leadership is confident enough to take strategic risk with the understanding that if it doesn't work the way you expect it to, it's okay. It doesn't have to mean anything about you or that you failed. So instead of thinking about it as a failure, think about it as a learning opportunity that was preparation for your next big win. It's time for you to stop operating from fear and be the leader you are called to be. In the Confident Career Collective, I can teach you how to stop worrying about what others do or don't do, worrying about what others think about you, and rather how to make a name for yourself and lead in a way that attracts others, including leaders and sponsors, so that you can level up in your career and do it with confidence and less stress. Sis, you are worthy and leadership looks good on you. I love you, sis. Let's get to work.